Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Duck My Life podcast, the DML report. Yeah, it's Sean here again, as always, with Kim. We got a packed show. It's been it feels like it's been forever since we've done a podcast. It's been busy, and the Ducks are currently 10, 12, and 4, have 24 points, which puts them at 8th in the Pacific, 30th in the league. They have played quite a few less games than the Sharks, so there's room to move up a little bit there. But Kim, first of all, how have you been?
I'm tired. It's been a busy weekend here. Got invited to Women in Sports, which we'll talk about a little later. Happy overall with the Ducks. They've done some moves. Verbeek actually showed he's a GM, did something. Yeah, I'm okay with the Ducks play, I guess, so far. Maybe at the last two games recently.
Yeah, I mean, you let on Ducks make a huge move for Trouba. I think we heard rumblings of that, but I don't think the Ducks were really listed as one of the favorite teams to get him. We're going to talk Trouba. It is kind of the quarter mark of the season, so we're going to go through, player by player and kind of give our thoughts on each. Woman in Sports nights. Really Woman in Sports weekend. Kim and I were at Honda Center, kind of got to meet a lot of you, which was fun, and giving out pins. And then Kim was at Great Park, kind of doing the same. So we'll talk about our experience through that a little bit more. And then also, Crow was in the news again. Spinning Chicklets brought up him being in the hot seat. So I think we've talked about that before, but we'll do a quick revisit of that. And then, as always, we will get to your Discord questions at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. You want a chance to, give us your questions, hop in the Discord, the link down in the description. So, Kim, I feel like people want to know, how are we feeling about the Jacob Trouba trade? I mean, there were some people even at Women's and Sports Nights that we met. We talked a little bit too. People are curious to hear our opinions. So before I hand it over to you, I'll just go through the trade. So it's Jacob Trouba for a fourth, and we're also sending over Euro Vakanainen, and no salary retained. So $8 million this year for Trouba. I think it was about 5.9 $8 million we're going to be on the books for, and also $8 million for the next year. And kind of controversial figure over there in New York. How are you feeling about the trade? Well, first, let's maybe take it through a timeline. How are you feeling when you first saw the news?
I was like, what? I kept saying, all the news is coming out. We're getting Trouba. What are we getting back? Are we sending Fowler? Are we getting something more? Because I'm $8 million. We can't just not get anything back. And it turns out we give him the fourth pick to take his $8 million contract. So we basically let the Rangers out of their $8 million deal. And man, people are furious about it. Eck made a video saying he should be fired. Verbeek should be fired over it. Eck's a big Rangers fan on YouTube, Eck on YouTube. So he was happy about it, obviously. And everyone in the East Coast is mad because we just let the Rangers off the hook.
Yeah.
And then they signed Igor to his big contract right after. So that was their plan. But honestly, I'm meh on the trade. I think it doesn't hurt us. It doesn't help us. Vakanainen was odd man out. He wasn't going to play. We have plenty of salary cap. Would have been nice to get something back. But, it is what it is. I think it just opens the door for Fowler to be traded. Hopefully sooner than later. Yeah,
it doesn't help out the logjam at D, which, I'm kind of expecting another deal to happen because that still needs to be relieved. But yeah, at first I was like, what the heck, kind of like you. But then, as I was kind of thinking about it more, talking with the members of our Discord community, I started to come around on it. I think the first thing, I don't know why we sent a fourth round pick. Like you said, we're doing them a favor. I thought, if anything, we should have been getting a pick. But, Trouba's kind of play had been poor. So yeah, he's not an $8 million player, but I think it does help us get better on defense. I mean, I think it is going to help. And also, he was the captain at the Rangers. And so there's that leadership. And like you said, we have plenty of cap room. So I don't think it really matters too much. And it kind of lines up with the Gudis contract too. So have some veteran D to help. Yeah, Bash Bros. That's right. Gotta have some veteran D to help teach the young kids. And honestly, one of my main complaints about the Ducks this season was the lack of fight and the lack of, checking and finishing your checks. I feel like there was maybe one or two games where I feel like they've done that. And I don't know that I'd have to look back and figure out which ones those were. But I want to say that really helped them with their play. Maybe even got some wins on that one. And I think bringing in Jacob Trouba for that's definitely going to help with that. So maybe a little bit warmer on the trade than you, Kim. I'm a little bit more than that because honestly, we gave up cap's not an issue. We gave up a fourth round pick, which probably wasn't going to turn into much other than a minor league player. And then, like you said, we already had a log jam at D. He wasn't playing for us this season, so I think I'm not going to say I hate the trade.
I'm like,
I'm okay with the trade. Yeah.
We'll see how it plays. It really depends on how he plays. Like, he's been bad this season, but also his situation wasn't good. So, actually speaking, the one positive thing is he waived his no trade clause to come to Anaheim. We got a player who wanted to come to the Ducks. What do you know? He was in talks for the Columbus, and he wouldn't waive it for Columbus. So he waived it for us. There was a whole drama with his contract. They tried to trade him last year, but he wouldn't leave for his wife. So he's a good man off the ice. Cares a lot about his wife's career, being a doctor and all that. So if you're going to go be a doctor, UCI, right next to Anaheim's pretty darn good for neurosurgeons. Samuel Ellies are all donated money to that fund, so got connections with that. I think that's probably best for her career.
No, I work over by UCI, so I always pass the Susan Samuela building, so they definitely have some ins there for connections for UCI. And yeah, you mentioned him being the good guy off the ice. He wants to come here. Also, he's like super charitable guy too, maybe one of the bigger charitable guys in the league. So as a person, it's a good person coming here. And when things were good, he was the captain of the Rangers for a reason, because of a lot of it for his off ice stuff. So I feel like that's the kind of guy you want the Ducks at this stage in their rebuild.
He's also a right-handed shot, so that actually helps it out. So when Fowler is eventually traded, which if Fowler is not moved at the deadline, then I'm mad at this trade, to be honest with you. There's no way they're not playing the veteran demon in Fowler, Trouba, Gudas, and Dumoulin. So that means between Helly, Zelli, Lacombe, and Minty. So they're going to have to be rotating them through, and Zelli should not be the one being sat out, I think. So it's between the other three that should be rotated. And that hurts probably development-wise. I feel like Hellison's probably the one to be sent down just because he's waiver exempt. And they'll probably rotate between Lacombe and Minty, which sucks for Hellison because he's been amazing in his short stand that he's had.
Yeah, no, I've really liked what Hellison's brought. And yeah, I think especially since they're bringing in a right-hand shot, that was kind of one thing that was working in Hellison's favor. So yeah, I feel like he would be the one to get sent down.
And I guess finally, Pat Farica is top 4 defenseman that he won in the offseason. I don't think Trouba.
Same thing.
I mean, Trouba's not really top 4 defenseman anymore, but he has been playing a lot of minutes for the Rangers, and so he's been a top 4 defenseman. I think a new change of scenery should be motivated to prove everyone wrong. He should be looking good, hopefully.
Yeah, that's another reason why I like this trade, because yeah, he's definitely going to want to. I mean, he's heard how the fans, and I mean, he even mentioned that in the interview that Alexis Downey did with him, that just kind of the rumors he felt like were unfair, and so I feel like he has a lot that he wants to prove, and change of scenery. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to help. And, now he's on the Ducks, I'm going to be optimistic. And I think he's 30 years old. So he's definitely still, in his prime, nearing the end of his prime, you could say. But he's still got a lot left in the tank, I think. And I guess we kind of talked about the trade. Kim, where do you think he's going to slot in on the lineup, or who do you think is going to be his pairing?
It's not going to be Gudas, because there'll be 2 righties, 2 similar players.
True.
I don't know, Zelli? I don't know about that one. I think Fowler. Why not? Gudas and Fowler don't fit together. No, never mind. I get that back. Gudas and Fowler look trash together. So let's not put the similar players together.
I mean, I always kind of gravitate to Minty, I feel like, but I feel like he's also kind of one of the easier guys to play alongside of. But I thought about Zelli. I just think Zelli I like. I was just thinking Zelli's kind of like more of a speed guy. I don't know if that pairs well with Trouba. So yeah, I think I'll stick with Minty, and then hopefully the logjam gets relieved so Minty can actually be more of a regular guy.
Another positive thing is that even though we don't retain, getting the $8 million, it makes Fowler trade easier, because the cap floor is going up next year, and with the $8 million, we'll stay with the cap floor even with the trade going up. So that's the bigger issue, I guess, or why we didn't have to retain, is because we actually need the money.
Sure.
The money's a wash. It's like whatever.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's this year and next.
We need the money. Yeah, he'll make his debut tomorrow against the Canadiens. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that should be fun. Canadians are not playing good hockey right now. Kind of like the Ducks, who have been kind of on a downward trend. So hopefully we can see the Ducks get a W and get back in the win column.
The Ducks did not get back in the win column. Future Kim here. Since the pod was a little late getting out, I thought I'd add my thoughts on Trouba's first game as a Duck. He entered the lineup in place of Hellison, causing some other changes to the D pairing as well. Dumoulin was paired with Gudas, while Lacombe and Zellweger were reunited. Trouba skated alongside Fowler, and notably, he made Fowler even look a bit better. The biggest concern now is that Michukov has missed 3 straight games. I was fine with a few games missed, but if he doesn't play in at least 1 or 2 of the next with the back-to-back coming up, I'll be pissed. Verbeek needs to make a trade like yesterday, or I'm really not going to like this trade. But anyway, it was a solid debut. He finished the game with the team leading 5 hits, led the team in regulation ice time. He didn't play in overtime. He also had a great sequence at the end of the third in which he overpowered Gooley to create a chance. He filled lanes, had really good breakout passes, and maintained composure, even during a couple of times where the Ducks were hemmed in their zone for a couple 2-minute shifts. It also definitely felt like Habs players thought twice about making certain plays and caused them to make mistakes. I'll just say, it doesn't take much to impress when the Ducks defense has been so bad for years, and he honestly did. Trouba genuinely impressed me in his debut. That said, I'll temper my expectations for now. This was against Canadians, so looking forward to see what he can do against better teams. And that's all my thoughts. Back to your previously recorded episode. Oh yeah, I saw a stat that, analytically, that Fowler is the second worst defenseman in the league and Trouba is third worst. So improvement. If they trade Fowler, we got Trouba right now. And the complaint always with Fowler is he doesn't like contact. And guess who likes contact? Trouba. So he's not afraid to hit. He'll clear the crease in front. And I don't know. It's still kind of weird. I really don't know what to expect from him at all, to be honest.
Yeah, same. It was very interesting seeing him in the an orange jersey and not in a Rangers blue in the mock-up. Mm-hmm.
First practice today, yeah. He's wearing number 65. He can't wear 8 for good reason.
Yeah.
Team Solani, retired number. But yeah, so you chose number 65. Edom wore 65, right? And remember Edom's goal in a playoff, so he walked around someone? That was true, but he walked around for his goal. And he's taking his number.
Yeah.
That's his new number. So pretty cool on that front. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm excited. Wary to begin with, but I think it will work out okay. As long as we get a trade, like Dumoulin or Fowler needs to be traded before the deadline, and then we'll be fine. I'll be happy with it.
Like, what's the real risk here? I mean, yeah. I don't really see any real risk. I only see upside in that regard. Sure, I guess the 4th round pick, if you think that's going to really turn into something. Yeah, so that's what it is to me, because like we've mentioned multiple times, the cap's not the issue. So if Trouba, got a lot to prove, he ends up playing well, or if he just has a positive effect on the young defenseman, this trade is a win.
Technically, he could be flipped next offseason, too. $4 million, yeah. 50% retained, and if they do another trade, they could do a 25% retention if they trade him twice. So, I mean, of that value, he's probably worth it for a lot of teams. So, there's that, too. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Especially if, in that way, not to bring this up, but it does kind of remind me of the idea of signing Klingberg to that 1-year deal, right?
Yeah.
You sign him, he's going to improve his value, and then we're going to flip him at the deadline. So, hopefully that pans out this time, but that is kind of the thinking, I think, partly.
You didn't say his name right.
Dingleberg.
Yep, that's his name. That's his name, folks.
I think we've talked through that, Kim, unless there's anything else that you want to bring up on the Trouba trade.
I think I got it all. I mean, it's all in my brain somewhere. Eventually, maybe throughout the podcast, I'll have some more thoughts on it, but who knows?
Throw a question if we passed over anything. Otherwise, we're going to move along here. Oh, I guess one thing I forgot to mention in the intro that we can jump into right now is Leo being named to the 4 Nations team. So congrats, Leo, youngest player by far there by 2 years.
We kind of just glossed over this, but it really is a big deal that Leo made this team. The only Ducks player too. Who knows how much he'll play or if he'll play at all. But if he does, it's probably going to be at wing because his faceoffs are still terrible. But just for him to be in that environment with so many good championship-level players is amazing. I will be rooting for Team Sweden in the tournament. Okay, back to past Sean and Kim.
But then maybe some other news about who, for World Juniors, that is, about somebody that didn't make the team. Beckette Sennecke does not make the World Juniors team for Canada.
And I'm back for the last time. Beckette has been added to the selection camp roster. He still has to make the regular roster, but great to see. Well deserved with the way he's been tearing it up. He really put the fear in Team Canada. So the Ducks now have 3 prospects going to at least the selection camp. Carey Terrance and Austin Bernovic made the initial cut for Team USA. I don't feel confident in Bernovic making the team, but I think Terrance does. No Lucas Pettersson for Team Sweden is also disappointing, but he has had a rough year, so hopefully he can turn it around. And back to the future.
He's playing absolute lights out. I'm sure Kim's going to drop in his highlight reel goal that he scored maybe a couple of days ago.
Goal of the year,
absolute filth. Goal of the year. Goes bar down twice. That puck looked like a bouncy ball. I don't think I've ever seen a puck bounce up and down like that. But Kim,
between his legs with the puck and then kicked it again, and then they went bar down. It's like, oh boy,
absolutely filth. But Kim, I mean, what is Team Canada thinking? They don't have a lot of size in that lineup. Beckett's got that, and he's got the hands and the skill, and he gets left off the roster because he's too young. The only thing I can think of, but
basically it. Canada likes to go older with their rosters. Most of the players were drafted in 2023. They like the older players, and then Beckette, did start slow in the season. He went 0 points in his first 3 or 5 games, but since the snub, he's got 14 points in 3 games for 44 points in 26 games played. So he's been lights out. He's on pace for 100 points, 50 goals included in that. I don't know about you, but next season, I need bucket season in Anaheim because he should not be in the juniors next year. He can't play with the goals because he won't be 20. But I think if he can some muscle, he needs muscle. Then
at least we'll see a little tryout. For
maybe
sure.
At the end of the season.
Maybe,
it's possible.
Or you think this season, huh?
It's possible.
I mean, that would be...
If his team gets nominated.
And I guess it depends how the Ducks season goes. Maybe we should talk about, unless you have more to add to that. I mean, how are you feeling about the Ducks? They were flirting with 500 before this recent kind of, I don't know how many games skid they're on right now. Is it
3 games.
Yeah. 3 games?
2,
yeah.
2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3. But they're still not far off of 500. I don't know if Trouba's going to have that sort of effect turning this around. But, the skid that they were on, they played against some good teams. Vegas, Wild, and I think even in those games, maybe not the Wild game, they look just outmatched. And, Z's out. Leo should be coming back soon.
Well, yeah, what about the Z's injury? Technically. You haven't done the podcast in a few weeks. Yeah. We still know about Z's injury, too, technically. They haven't said anything other than lower body. I don't know. No contact. Injury, fell, and his ankle did not look good, and calf and all that. So hoping for the best, but we'll find out more tomorrow on that.
Hopefully. Do you think the Ducks can kind of turn this around? Because we've mentioned the standings. They were kind of flirting with potential wild card spot. Do you think there's a potential? This team is so inconsistent, and I feel like they haven't been playing, bad hockey against the Knights. I didn't think they looked that bad. They lost. They were completely outmatched, but they'll have 2 of their best players in the lineup, and the games coming up, winnable hockey games. So I feel like these next
on the road too, where they're better.
2 or 3 games, better on the road. I feel like this is going to tell us a lot, maybe about my question. Maybe the Ducks will answer it. But Kim, how are you? Still want to hear how you're kind of feeling. Do you think there's still hope, or are we tanking? Are we purely watching for development?
I don't think we're making the playoffs. I don't think we're even going to get as close as I thought we were going to do to start the season. We'll stay around the 500 mark, I guess, but under it still. Maybe 400. Or maybe the addition of Trouba makes the boys happy, because Ryan Strome did say he was very excited that we added someone for once. When's the last time the Ducks actually added someone, not in the offseason kind of thing? So maybe that will get them going. I don't know. This team is so hard because it's a box of chocolates, like you said, roller coaster, and you just don't know what you're going to get any other night. It's just... You don't, there's no word for it, right? I don't know, Cronin. I don't know. There you go. I agree with you. I don't know.
Yeah. You mentioned the, vibes with Leo and Z going out, probably on a low, but Trouba, he has some history with, going back, I guess we're going back to Trouba a little bit, but he's got some history with Strome, on the Rangers. Played a lot and Vetrano in there, but also Vetrano, play with them in the youth system too. I've seen all the pictures of him together with Trouba, which have been funny. So I feel like this is also going to be, and I didn't even think about that, but usually the Ducks have been used to watching players leave. So it's going to be kind of nice to see a familiar face kind of come into the locker room. But I think I'm with you. If we get anywhere close to 500 for this season, it's a huge success.
Yes.
For me.
Standing wise, we're not going to be that high up still. But if you get 500, that's obviously improvement. It seems like a lot of other teams have gotten better to maybe 2. So that's why we're still lower in the standings. He would have thought the Flames would be this good, kind of thing. So
I called that one.
Did you? I don't remember.
Earlier in the podcast, just thinking that, I didn't think that they were as bad as they were last season, but this is the DML report. We're not talking about the Flames. Moving on. Kim, I'll let you choose where we go next.
Continue talking about the Ducks. Let's talk about every player. We know we talked about Trouba. We mentioned a little bit about Leo and Z, but maybe we'll go a little more in depth on them.
What are you thinking for this? Quarter grade? What are we doing? Grades? Doing tiers?
Maybe met expectations, not met, trash.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, either met expectations, exceeded expectations, or did not meet expectations.
Okay. You want to say trash? No, there's not. No one
Yeah,
can trash.
trash is like a different tier. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no one in trash, I guess.
Kick us off.
Well, let's start with our most consistent best player all season long. Troy Terry, leading the way with the Ducks. Any line he's been put on, he's driven that line. Right now, he's currently driving Ryan Strome and Frank Vetrano, who have been turning it up recently. Gotten a little better, maybe. But yeah, he's our best player right now because Leo and Z's out, obviously. But either way, he's the only one that's consistently shows up every game, I think.
So what's the grade?
Oh, great. He exceeded expectations.
Expectations.
I mean, just based on he's the best player, yes, but maybe not exceeded my expectations actually for what I wanted for him.
Your expectations for Timmy are just, I don't know if you can reach them. Yeah. But I said exceeded expectations just because of last season, vibes around, maybe not the vibes, but how the fan base felt about him, maybe not living up to the new deal was not that great. And I feel like he's definitely lived up to it. Like you said, leading goal scorer. That's why you're in that deal. And I feel like a lot of his performance, you don't see in highlights, you don't see in the stats. He's always creating in the offensive zones. I mean, he will routinely create space and probably get around, one or two guys and get into a good scoring position. It might get taken off his stick after that, but he's been this year. Well, you threw me for a loop there because I'll do the player. Well, I'll do the player I thought you were going to say, and I will talk about the number one player on the ice and in my heart, Lukas Dostal. Now, this is a tough one because my expectations were high going into the season. I would say he was living up to it, probably exceeding it in the early part of the season. He's come back down to earth now a little bit, but I think a lot of that is due to getting, got a little bit overplayed. The defense hasn't been good. So I think I'm still sticking with exceeded expectations for myself, especially given how young he is, playing at the level he is. I do want to see him get a game now. I mean, we went from overplaying to him not playing once Gibson got back, it seems. So I like to see him get in the net a little bit more than he has been. But I think this is another kind of like the Terry one, easy exceeds expectation for me.
Yeah, it's basically 2-1 now. Gibson gets 2 starts, Dosty gets 1. He still is leading the league in goals, saved above expected, I think, just because he hasn't played recently, so he hasn't gotten the number.
He had a big lead too.
Yeah, he had a big lead. That's part of it.
Yeah,
but 921 save percentage. I wanted over 900 for him, or 905, I think. So he's way above that. Goals against 2.86. Crushing. When you're on the Ducks, that's pretty darn good. Yeah, I agree with that. And since we talked about Dosty, might as well just do the other goalie while we're at it. Gibson started the season with his surgery. I'd say he's exceeded my expectations too. I didn't really know what to expect from Gibson. He's at a 909 save percentage. I just wanted over 900 for the first time in years. He hasn't done that. And he's come in looking like he wants to be traded, to be honest. He's been locked in.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Exceeded expectations. I don't know if it wants to be traded or there's actually a pretty healthy goalie battle.
It's true.
Dostal was looking like a Vezina caliber goalie. I mean, competition's always good, but Gibson trade rumors are always around, but I'll believe it when I see it. I would be very happy if Gibson stays on the team still, because I still am kind of iffy on what kind of return we're going to get, and I just feel like having that caliber goalie with Dostal is just a huge plus. And the young defensemen too, they're going to make mistakes, so having a solid goalie to kind of bail you out every now and then is a huge help. But yeah, Gibby exceeded expectations for me this season. Let's see, I guess I'll do the pick. This one kind of hurts. I feel it's going to be our first does not meet expectations.
Oh, I know who it is already.
And this one hurts because I'm getting this jersey made right now. Captain of the Ducks, Radko Gudas. He has looked completely different than he has last season. Maybe now I feel like he's kind of forcing things a little bit too much on the hitting department, which is then getting him out of the position on the defense. Yeah, definitely not meeting expectations this year. Last year became an early fan favorite just because of his play style. I mean, he's getting some hits there, but more often than not, I'm noticing him missing assignments. So that's why I'm putting him at not meet expectations.
I agree. There's not much more to say than he has made his D partner look bad too. It's that's how bad he's playing. It's just simple stuff, even breaking out the puck. There's no pressure or anything, and he just turns it over. I just don't know I hope he's okay. Yeah. I mean, I just don't know. Captain-wise,
Yeah,
he's been
especially
fun,
in
I think. Play
yeah,
wise.
off ice stuff. There's a great guy. It's more of the on ice stuff. I've noticed in the past 2 games, I'm just kind of like holding on to the puck for a little bit too long. I don't know if he's trying to just create more contact or something, but he's been turning the puck over in the defensive zone pretty often. And then I think it was Kings game or the Knights game where he went for a big hit, whiffed 2-on-1 the other way goal. So like that's been a common trend. I want to pick up the hitting, but we got to pick our spots. So I don't think we need to give Gudis any more of a hard time. You know, I'm optimistic Depps fan. I always catch myself on being too negative. So I still have hope for the captain. I think he can turn this around. Anything more to say about Radko? And if not, go ahead and move on
Another.
for the next pick.
Let's go with another player who I've talked about quite a bit in videos for my very displeasure with his play. Killer, Alex Killorn, number 17. Oh boy. Okay. Since he was with Z, but Z's out of the lineup, like you already mentioned, he's hurt. Killer has looked better. The first 20 or so games, wow. That was some of the worst hockey I think I've been seeing play. Analytically, you look at the numbers. Yes, he's been fine. But eye test, he's so slow. Stops skating half the time, turns over the puck. Anytime a puck
Penalties.
the penalties, oh man, worse than McTavish, I think, at some point. He's supposed to be your veteran leader, assistant captain, named this year. So the pucks just die on his stick, and I don't know how he's going to play without Z now, because he even said it himself. Zegras is the one giving him the puck behind the net, and that's the only way he scores this year. So I don't know.
I mean, I don't have too much to add other than, him looking good analytically. It's easy to look good analytically when you're playing with Ducks' best players. Now, without Zegras, it'd be interesting. I haven't taken a look at those stats without. I mean, they can't be good because the line that he's on, I think maybe I'll just jump into it. I think there's another player that's on that line that's not meeting expectations, and that's Mason McTavish.
Oh, so many questions about McT.
He had an injury. I don't know. I feel like there's something still lingering because, he was never the fastest skater, but he just seems way slower. The edge to his game seems to have been lost. I will say, since he's come back, the penalties have not been there, which is a good sign, but just give me early last season Mason McTavish back, please.
It's 80% of that. 50% of that. I don't even know. I don't think he's even 50% of that. Last season, he ended the season with an injury and didn't play. Then he put on all this weight. He's one of the heaviest players on the Ducks team. So that's probably part of it. And
I was
then he
so
comes back,
excited. He looked absolutely ripped.
he's shredded. And then he comes back and he looks not even good enough to play on a fourth line when he came back, to be honest. And he was put on the fourth line a couple times. He's moved around a lot. Any line he's been on, he's been the worst player on that line. No question about it. And then, then he went out for the injury, came back, and he looks better, but he just doesn't look the same. I really don't know what's going on with him because it's concerning. And I don't know, I'm very down on McTavish right now.
The problem with me is I don't have answers. I don't know what is going on.
I have no clue.
That's the most concerning thing because, in the last season, we were having arguments over who should be the number one center, and he was in the conversation, and now he's completely out of the conversation. It's questionable whether he should be in the lineup. Well, maybe not that.
He should be a center.
But, question if he should be a center. Yeah, there you go.
So, all right, you got McTavish. Let's go with our actual future number one center, Leo Carlsson, who, since this podcast, did go down with we still know it was upper body. We think it was concussion, but he's back in a normal jersey now, so he should probably be playing tomorrow, I'm guessing. But he has 6 goals and 5 assists and for 11 points, and he has bleeding the Ducks. He's a clutch player, 4 game-winning goals. When he's on, he's having great times. He's definitely had some struggles this season, maybe not as sharp as expected. Also, he's met expectations. I probably expected a little more, but seems like a lot of players are having a sophomore slump. Bedard's looking bad. Fantilli's looking bad. So if you look at his competition, all the players be having a hard time. Yeah,
I guess this is where we're going to first disagree, I guess. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're saying the same thing, but as far as the grades go, just because I had high expectations for him after the first year. So I'm going to say he hasn't really met those expectations. I don't think he's that far off. But I don't think he's hit them yet. I think Leo's still got a lot more that he can contribute to the game because we say this all the time, but with this team, it's consistency. And there's some nights where he looks like the best player on the ice. There's other nights where I don't notice it.
It's based on his line mates. He's constantly being put with Killorn and Strome or some other. Always Killorn. Well, not recently because he's been out. So his line mates have not looked optimal in my eyes. But it says a lot about the fact that he was sent to the Four Nations, the only Ducks player to go for that tournament. So good for him. People know how good he's going to be.
We got different letter grades, but I feel like we're pretty close on our our feelings for him,
Yeah.
for his feelings for him. So I just had high expectations going in. So I'm going to hold him to that. Let's see. Let's round out the current top line. I'm going Cutter. Gotta think about this one for a little bit because this is another player that I had high expectations for, which maybe were a little unfair since
I think so.
I'd only seen him play one NHL game before. And it's just because the goals haven't been there and he was pretty snake bit. But I think I'm going to do the same thing with Leo. I'm going to hold him to that high standard and say that he hasn't met expectations yet this year because the goals just haven't really been there for him. I mean, I feel like he's really improved on the defensive side of things, which is good to see. The shots that he's been taking have led to some goals, so he's been getting some assists. But I really want to see, the rest of the season him get that goal scoring touch, and I'm hoping he can turn it around and kind of live up to that, elite goal scoring potential.
I mean, I probably put Met I feel like, yeah, you already said it. Like maybe it probably should be not just because our expectations were too high, but for a rookie, he's probably met them. But a lot of his good play probably coincides with Z again. We keep talking about Z. And when he was with Z and Cutter looked great. And he has been kind of been struggling. He's been with Leeson and Lundestrom. Lundstrom's not an offensive driver. So Leeson's energy bunny. And they seem to have connection, him and Leeson. But I don't like his line. Line changes need to still happen on that end.
You'll have to stick your neck out for me. I'll take the heat.
Yeah, okay.
Even though the Philly fans will be agreeing with me. So
oh yeah, for
you're
sure.
welcome, Philly.
Well, we mentioned Z quite a bit, so why don't we talk about Zegras a little bit? So he started off really slow, but now he has 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points. It was rough to go at the beginning of the season. Defensively, he was great. But ever since, I don't know, like 10 games in, he's finally found his offensive footing. And then once he finally found it, he got hurt. And you mentioned already, it seems like it's going to be season ending, or at least a long time, based on Eric Stevens seeing him with crutches and saying that. And again, we don't know till tomorrow. Elliot Freeman said they're going for more tests tomorrow because they want to look at it, but I don't have high hopes.
What's the letter grade, Kim? I'm not going first on this one.
I guess not. I don't know. No. No, I'm putting on Met expectations. Yep.
Okay, that's kind of how I was thinking. I was thinking that offensively, yeah, maybe not Met, but defensively, just continued to impress me when that's like the typical casual fans' complaint on his game. It's just not even true anymore. Sometimes he's the best defensive forward on the ice. I feel like that's going to counter it out, and I'm going to say Met. And we're going to see the rest of the season just how important Z is to this team. Offensive creativity. It's going to be tough. This is
boring.
it's going to be really hard without him. This really opens up the door for Mason to turn it around, I think, because he's going to be getting top line minutes. So yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Moving on. Let's see. I'll take an easy one. I think for the wrong reasons. Frank the Tank. Been good recently, but I mean, if we're looking at last season, and I think we both said we were both kind of, I mean, I hate to say it, but like we were wary of him matching that again. And even last season, we were saying this would be a great time to maybe trade him because we're selling at a high. And he just hasn't lived up to it. The offense production just really struggled this season. He is turning it on as of late. Hoping, Buddy Trouba being on the team is just going to perk him up a little bit. I do love in the warmies the vibes between Vetrano and Strome, so getting Trouba in that mix, hopefully it's just infectious to the rest of the team, and that just helps Frank. But so far, core of the way through, yeah, not met my expectations and really not close.
Well, we talked about the Frankster. Well, we got to talk about the bestie, Stromer.
Yeah.
So, Strome, typical Strome, has missed quite a few open nets, I feel like, this year already. But I say he's met expectations. In the beginning of the season, he was great. Wow. He was amazing with Terry and Strome. So he started out really strong, slowed down, but he's met expectations. 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points.
Yeah, I guess I'm noticing a common theme is the people with high expectations are not meeting them, but Strome did not have high expectations for me going into the season. So that's an easy met. I mean, if we're averaging out his play, you could even say exceeds. I'm not going to, but just because early on, like you said, he was playing some great hockey, and now he's kind of come back down to earth. I agree with Matt. Let's see. I think we got most of the kind of the top players out of the way. So, or we haven't really talked about the defense, but maybe let's just try to get through the forwards, and then we can jump to the defense. Just to make sure we don't overlook anyone. All right, I'm going to mention a fun one. I feel like I'm not going to say we have been the people that have been changing the culture, but we have definitely been helping change the culture of everyone's opinion on Big Boss Ross Johnson turning into a fan favorite now.
Fan Appreciation Day.
Fan Appreciation Day. There's been a ton of love for Ross in the Discord and in the warm-ups. But what grade do I give him? Met expectations. He has not changed in my mind, other than just enjoying seeing. I guess I don't get as upset when I see him in the lineup. Yeah, the memes are just so good. Seeing just how stoked he was to have like so many people with signs for him at Fan Appreciation Day was like such a wholesome moment, and it was so funny. So yeah, I'm gonna say met expectations. I mean, it's even borderline exceeded expectations. I feel like he's been taking the body a little bit more this season. Maybe not dropping the goals, but he's had some big hits. There was one hit that I think recently that led to a goal. He has scored, so I mean, I'm not really
He's on his way to the career high, as someone said in the Ducks locker room. Ryan Strom, Gibson's
savage. Gibson. Yeah, I'm still gonna stick with met expectation.
How can you say Matt? He exceeded them. I didn't expect him to even play. He actually looks like a competent fourth line player out there. Sometimes he's showing off his handles a little bit, even. But yeah, he's exceeded my expectations personally. But like you said, he's got a goal. Enough talking about a fourth line scrub. No offense, still. Yeah. Love him now, but no. Okay, well, on to someone else. Let's see. Well, why don't we go with the fourth line again? Brock McGinn. Had a great start to the season, I thought. The fourth line was carrying us the first couple games. Got hurt, unfortunately. Just got back and scored a goal in his first game back. He's been great, honestly. He was kind of one of my X factors, I thought, going into this season, and I guess he's exceeded him a little bit. He's got 4 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say exceeds just because of the goal scoring. Like you say, he's been out of the lineup, but when he's been in the lineup, he's been a threat. And that fourth line, yeah, the energy they bring and just him, Ross, and I think Gleason, it was early in the season, but they were like just a checking line, and it would just bring so much energy. You could just tell when that line was on the ice. So yeah, I think exceeded expectations for me pretty easily. Let's see. I guess I mentioned him, so we'll go with Mr. Chow, Brett Leeson. I'm thinking about it, is a tougher one. Trying to pick between met and exceeds expectations. I think I'm leaning towards exceeds expectations just because when the Ducks have looked for scoring or to jumpstart one of the top lines, I feel like he's one of the ones that gets thrusted up there, and that's because of the results of his play. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go exceeds expectations. I think you mentioned earlier, Energizer Bunny. He's always got the legs moving, great on the forecheck, and he's got the scoring touch. And the dangles, as Connor McDavid sometimes out there.
Yep, I agree. I hope they re-sign him. He's RFA at the end of this year. So, all right, let's go with the other player on his line, Isaac Lundestrom. I don't even know what to expect from Lundestrom. I knew defensively he'd be great. I guess he met them because I didn't expect him to score a lot, and he's not really doing that. He's winning faceoffs. Lundy has met my expectations, I guess. I didn't expect anything really from him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I would say my expectations because expectations were low.
We'll see if he gets re-signed.
He's just responsible defensively out there. He's pretty good in the face-off circle, but I don't expect any offense from him. I just don't know how Eakin squeaked out some offensive ability from him. He looked so good offensively for a short stretch, maybe longer stretch. I can't recall the length of that, but I think met expectations just because expectations were pretty low. So let's see, going through the list, who's left?
I'll say Robbie Fabry. By the eye test, looked amazing beginning of the season. Analytically, he was the worst player in the whole league. And then he's got his torn meniscus, so he's out 6 to 8 weeks, probably down to 4, maybe a month now, 3 weeks till he's back. I think he's started skating, actually, if I recall. Yeah, I think he started skating, actually. He should be back semi-soonish. I think he's still a candidate to be traded, though, but I guess he's met my expectations. I didn't really know what to expect from him. He was 18 goals last year, but I didn't expect him to do that anyway, and he got hurt. So I'll say met.
Another one where I'm debating between choices, either met or does not meet. And I think I'll say met just because, we knew injuries were a problem. So that happens. But like you said, analytically, I guess it hasn't been that good. Been terrible, actually. But yeah, to the eye test, the energy that he brings, I kind of liked. But I also think I'm just going to say met just because I don't know if I've seen him in enough games, really. So it's kind of hard to say.
He's played 14 games, so half the season basically he's played for the Ducks. So
so we're doing quarter grades, and he does not reach the quarter.
And we got 2 more forwards, so I'll say them quickly. Jansen Harkins, he was caught up from the goals. He was leading the goals and points. I like what he's brought so far. He has just 1 point. but winning
Small
faceoffs,
sample
best
size
faceoff
again.
man. Yeah,
Yep.
12 games for him. That Sam Colangelo, who's played 7 games now, he's been in and out of the lineup because of McGinn coming back and everyone, but now should be in the lineup with Z out. He's been good, kind of unnoticeable most of the time, I feel like, but he's also on a different role on the 4th line because he's usually a scorer, so it's not really his role. Both have met expectations. I didn't expect anything from either of them, to be honest, so. I mean, Harkins maybe even exceeded, to be honest. I don't know.
I think Harkins the small games, maybe didn't even expect him to make the team at all this year. I mean, with some of the forwards that are down in the goals, like Colangelo, Nestorenko, Regenda are down there. Harkins got the call above, but I mean, I don't follow the goals too closely outside maybe the top guys, but I don't think I would have picked him to be leading the team in points. So yeah, I think I'd give him exceeds, with the caveat that it's we haven't seen as many games as some of the other players. And with Sam, I think too early to tell. Met, I feel like he's looked pretty good defensively in the games he's been playing. And yeah, he's been put in a role where not his traditional role.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's held his own. All right, I guess we kind of got into the defense. I did say Gudis. So
why don't we do our best defenseman this year? Who do you think that one is?
Are you being sarcastic
or No, actually not being sarcastic. Zelly, Selly, Owen Zeller, the Zubies, man. If you don't know that, that's a meme in the Discord. Sorry, folks. Yeah, he's got 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points. And since maybe the first 5 games, he's been our best defenseman. He's turned it on. He's a feisty little guy. Every single game. Yeah. The broadcast don't usually show it. Yeah. The broadcast don't usually show him, but almost every scrum, he's a weird little face and almost going after people.
Throwing a punch.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah, especially for being a small guy. I will say that his size has been a factor. I'm thinking about the one OT where he got shoved off that led to the game-winning goal. So that's something I think that you really need to look for in his partner, someone with a little bit more size. And I want someone that kind of can match his speed a little bit too.
He's been paired with Lacombe recently, and it's looked pretty good. But also, Zelly's taking control, letting Lacombe. Zelly's been more defensive with Lacombe. Lacombe's being able to jump into the rush. So Zelly's showing off his defensive game, which is why his points have kind of stopped recently.
Yeah, but I think we've talked about this in prior podcasts. But yeah, the energy that he brings and leading the rush. I mean, a lot of times he seems to be a forward out there. The way he's getting down and over again.
To be honest, since they've been together,
we're all coming from the crease pretty much. But with Zelly, he can do that because the skating that he has, he's able to get back. So yeah, Zelly, I think, exceeded. Yeah, I'm not sure if you said it yet. Yeah, definitely exceeded.
Well, I mentioned Lacombe lunch.
I wasn't supposed to go that way. I was going to play off of you saying the Ducks' best defenseman. So I'm going to say the Ducks' best defenseman of all time, leading every single category for the Ducks, Cam Fowler. I would say not met expectations.
Really? I mean, honestly, I had such low expectations. I think he's met them. I think he's better than expected. For me, he's been better than expected, and people are being harder on him this year, which I get because he's been so bad. He's been serviceable. His minutes have gone down. He's still leading the Ducks in ice time, though, because, of course, he's been hurt. He just came back, and Gudis and Fowler should never happen again. Last 2 games. If you want to talk about the last 2 games, they both are in the trash category that we talked about earlier. If that pair stays together, yeah, they'll be on trash by the end of the season. But
the communication is non-existent.
But it seems to be a problem with anyone he Fowler played with. There's no communication. So that seems like it's on Fowler for that one. I'll put Met, but you can put him in not, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you say because the expectations were so low, then I mean, I guess I could change my answer to Met. But yeah, the fact that he is kicking Mincy out of the lineup just infuriates me. So I didn't see that going into the season. So maybe that's why I'm going to say has not met expectations. Maybe you can put the comments that Cronin made about why Minty was not in the lineup, but those made absolutely no sense to me. That every single thing that he said about why Minty was scratched seems to be a reason why he should be in the lineup, and we'll talk about Cronin being on the hot seat, but that one is a vote for, why he should be in the hot seat because of that. Yeah, I guess we'll stick with the player grades, but not met expectations. But, I mean, still, I feel like I have to caveat everything with Cam Fowler being negative, that I love Cam. He has been a huge part of the Ducks for a long time. It's just, just how sports go. You get to the tail end of your career and you become kind of Trouba over on the Rangers, How many Ranger fans used to absolutely love Trouba? He was the captain, and now it's just that tail end of his time there, and that's how it goes. Always will love Cam.
All right, well then, Jackson Lacombe, I actually say he exceeded my expectations. I thought he'd be the odd one out, and he's been in the lineup almost every night. He started slow. He definitely had 2 bad turnovers that cost us goals already this season. But since he's been with Zelly, he looks like a new player. I guess he had a third one last game where he lifted for empty netter. But the game was over at that point.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
It's always possible with him. He plays so good 99% of the time, and he makes one bad play, and it's like your game sucks now because of that. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, it's the thing with this team, the consistency. He's a prime example of that. Yeah, another one I'm between met and exceeds. Good thing I did have a little bit higher expectations for him, but I'll still say he exceeds them. One of the things I was looking for him this season was to get in on the rush more, which he's done. He's getting some goals. He's helping the transitional offense. So I think for that reason, I'm going to say he's exceeded them. So let's see, get it down to the bottom pairing. We'll go with Dumo. Yeah, maybe the play hasn't been as good as it was earlier in this season, but I'm still going to say, sorry, Dumo, I was not familiar with your game, but I'm going to say I think it exceeded.
Yep, I agree.
I thought we were getting kind of a stay-at-home defenseman, which I was excited about, but he has some offensive, especially just his offensive awareness, I think, on the breakouts, and he can lead the rush too if he needs to, but he's really the guy that I feel like he just is very familiar with where everyone is on the ice and what he needs to do with the puck. You don't really see him make too many mistakes. He'll do a quick pass, he'll hold on to it and let the pressure kind of fall off and then make a play. He just seems to hockey IQ. I guess I'll just say that. He's got some good hockey IQ.
He's like one of the few defensemen who actually, when he's in the back end, he actually takes the puck, spins around, and keeps the puck rather than just spinning up the boards. Even when he has pressure, he's very good at getting rid of the pressure going on. Mm-hmm. And he makes the other team go for a line change because he just takes it, stays calm, and then makes a great pass on the breakout. I did call Zelly our best defenseman, but he analytically, I think, actually has been our best defenseman. And even the eye test, it's a simple game. And he makes any D partner he's with play good, which could be a big reason why Helleson looks so good, to be honest. That could be it.
That's true. And he just has such a calm demeanor. I mean, he's like the Gibby of defensemen, but in a good way. One thing that they look alike for one thing, but like just nothing seems to phase him. He could have 2 guys pressuring him and he'll somehow find an outlet pass I just been super impressed with him. I would love to see him get re-signed for, a year or 2. Because I've really liked what he's brought to the team. And you mentioned it, Helleson exceeded expectations. I thought his chances with the Ducks were pretty much gone, and he's stepped up in a big way. We needed a right-handed D-man. He's just been solid. I mean, defensively, there's a number of times that he's made good plays, and maybe that is kind of the Dumoulin effect. I hadn't really thought about that, but this is it for him. It seems like this could be, he could work his way into being, 7th D-man, but maybe even a, bottom pairing guy, which would be huge.
That's what we need. We need a right-handed defenseman, and I didn't even think about him coming in this year. I think I did mention him briefly. Like, I thought he'd be gone. He's been so bad with the goals, but some players, they're bad in the AHL, and then it's figured out in the NHL. They need that faster speed, that faster pace to get going. And honestly, I can't think of a time where Helleson really met a bad play, which I know he has. But right off the top of my head, I can't think of one where I'm like, wow, that was terrible. Unless Lacombe.
It's like glaring.
So he's exceeded expectations for sure. All we have left is Minty. We didn't really talk about him. I mean, we mentioned him passing a couple times. Probably not exceeded. I thought he'd be the number 1 defenseman. And
it's his high expectations again.
He hasn't been put in a best spot to succeed, I'd say, though. When he was with Dumoulin, they looked great. It was like one of our best defensive pairings. But since then, he's been with Gudas, and we talked about Gudas being bad. He's also been asked not to play maybe an offensive role, which is more his role. He's been on the power play number 2 instead of number 1, and he wasn't even on the power play to start a lot of the season. He's been fine when he's played, just not minty fresh, Yeah,
the swagger has kind of been lost. Right, he used to have.
But personally, I guess I did put Leo and Cutter in Met, so I think I got to put Minty in Met, just based on that factor too, for my list. But you can put him somewhere else.
Yeah, for my list, it's not Met, just because I'm holding them to the high standards that I had, and maybe some of this is just like development things that they're telling him to work on more.
I think we got everyone. Woo!
I think for the players.
Oh yeah.
Do we want to talk about? Do we want to give coach and power play grades, or? I guess we're going to talk about Cronin later on.
We can talk about the power play and penalty kill briefly.
Maybe we'll start with the stats. So the penalty kill, 75% on the penalty kill, good for 25th in the league, and on the power play, 15%, which is 29th in the league.
Both look better in my eyes. They've both made changes systematically. Penalty kill's more aggressive, which has led to maybe some communication errors, especially between Gudas and Fowler since recently they've been together. They just leave their man wide open. PK is looking better, but the power play, it looks really good on the first unit. Second unit, really bad, but there's no one to make plays. So when they're on the first unit, I feel confident in their ability to get good chances. 90% of the time. There's still like every occasional one's like, oh, looks like last year. But so the numbers wise, it doesn't look that great. But they started 0 for 22 to start the year, and I'm happy with the power play. Rich Clune has done a great job.
The things I don't like about the power play is just with the team overall, like we're not scoring, but it has looked dangerous, a lot more movement, a lot more speed. They're not just standing around kind of like last year. So yeah, power play has definitely looked better in my eyes. The PK is, wow, maybe
recently it's been great.
I mean, it's getting results, which are great, but a lot of it is being relied on the goaltenders because goaltenders are still facing some shots, but they're not like high danger shots, which I feel like is what they're kind of going for. When you have the quality of goalies like Gibson and Dostal, you'll let these kind of perimeter shots come in. Like we'll live with those, but they're doing a good job kind of stopping the cross crease. There was like the behind the net kind of pass that was kind of happening quite a bit. That seemed to be a common trend on the PK. That's kind of limited those. But yeah, I think overall special teams much better. And we've seen Kings come in, and man, there's special teams in shambles still.
I mean, numbers-wise, they are better technically than us, but that's just because of how bad the Ducks started again. So I think the power play has exceeded my expectations, I guess. I didn't know what to expect. And then penalty kill probably met. Don't think I'm that happy with it. I think it still can be a lot better.
I think I would say exceeds for both. I mean, the PK had a stretch of like not allowing a goal for how long it was, and then when the streak was broken, it was on a 5-on-3 on I want to say some bogus calls. Yeah, I think I'm going to say exceeds for both, just because they were. I mean, my expectations were low again, but
it's fair enough. It's that says a lot about how optimistic we were about the Ducks, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess so. And then I guess we got to talk about the guy behind the bench who has been in some controversy. Spitted Chicklets came out, said how disastrous the locker room was, but a lot of this information was about last year. It was like one of the worst.
The same thing, I think, too.
It was like the worst locker room in the league by far. Dysfunctional. Crow was a drill sergeant. Since then, after that happened, the Ducks went on like a 3-game winning streak and we're having fun, laughing, and everything on the bench. So the vibes are better this year, it definitely seems. And Cronin even mentions, I think, in the off-season podcast, how much he needed to tone it back because of what happened, transpired. Again, he was a first-year coach, so he knows what to expect this year and everything.
Spin and Chicklets, got to take it with a grain of salt. You know, they're looking for clicks, engagement.
Like us.
And like they even said, like in the podcast, like, oh, we haven't talked to any of the players. Yeah. It's really getting based off of last season. With the Labushkin comments. So I feel like this is just kind of the same thing that got brought to light again. The players' attitudes on the ice didn't look good. You know, I feel like the Ducks themselves had higher expectations for themselves going in. So I feel like a lot of that is just, you know, them trying to hold themselves accountable to that, which maybe that's partly what Cronin's kind of instilling in the team. So them not looking happy when they're not playing good, not really a bad thing in my mind. That's how I want them to look. And when they're playing good, they're having fun. So yeah, I feel like I'm taking this with a grain of salt. I don't think Cronin's the future coach for a long time at all, but definitely feel like sorry, my cat stretched in the background distracted me. But yeah, developing the players and kind of building the culture, you know, I think he's kind of doing that job.
I mean, he has to deal with a lot. The way Bob Murray and Eakins left the team was in shambles, and I don't agree with his methods, and I don't agree with his line changes during the game and game adjustments, but he had a lot to go through, and it seems like it's better recently. I definitely still want him gone in the offseason, but he's kind of the Mark Jackson to the Golden State Warriors before they got good. If people get that rest race. I mentioned that like 10 months ago. That's what I thought he was. He's got to be the person to come in, clean it up, set the culture. There might be another coach before that. Even he might not even be the Mark Jackson. He's the guy before Mark Jackson, maybe. I don't know. But he's okay for now. We'll live with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, who are the Ducks going to bring in that's going to do a better job right now? Yeah. One is firing him, and if you fire them, they probably don't have a coach in line. It's probably just going to be intern. Probably just going to be Thompson, Rich Clune, being the coach.
Probably would be Thompson.
So yeah, I just don't see the point of firing him at all. And honestly, like you mentioned, there's been some decisions I haven't liked, but I think we've said this before. If this team gets back to being close to 500, huge W, and gotta give Cronin credit for that.
Also, like we mentioned, like a couple podcasts ago, like Verbeek has been more evolved apparently. So who knows how many decisions or what he's saying to Crow to make these decisions? Like he could be making the lineup for all we know.
Yeah, he was going to be more involved. You're right.
We really don't know.
We don't know.
Who knows? Maybe it's more on Beaker. I guess Cronin Mets. I don't even know. This season's been such a roller coaster that I don't know. You can't say succeed. I can't do it now. There's so much bad in this season. I can't say that, Sean. This season has been so rough to watch half the time, and now it's getting better. So you're in a good mood. It's not exceed. I won't even put that on your chart. It's met. Okay. There's no way that's happening. Get the smirk off your face.
I'm saying it, Kim.
Nope.
I think the Ducks. Did you think the Ducks were going to be sniffing 500 this year?
Probably not.
What are we talking about? He's exceeded it.
No, I can't. Analytically, it's so bad. It's so bad. You can't. You fine. You say exceed, but I cannot, with good conscience, say that because it's been so rough. I've been so mad at this.
I'll take all the blowback. I see the fire prone post on Reddit every single day.
Every time I lose, every time I win, there's not there.
Even in our Discord, people mentioning it. But now, and sure, maybe I've even said it. Shoot, I was talking about wearing a paper bag over my head going to the game earlier on.
And now he's exceeding expectations.
But now the emotions are out. We're taking a look at the quarter mark from the beginning of the season to now. Did I think the Ducks were going to be in this position? No, I didn't. I literally was talking maybe getting a wild card spot already, potentially still already a quarter way through the season. Did I think I'd be saying that a quarter way through the season? Absolutely not. I'm pumping Cronin's tires a little bit here. He's exceeded them.
All
I'm at you in the comments. Bring it on. I think with that, yeah. Ducks always do a women's in sports night every single year. They usually don't win on it.
No, they didn't last year.
But
they didn't this year.
Kim was part of that, along with some other women creators and business owners. So, Kim, I just want to hear about your experience with that. And, yeah, take it away.
It's still so surreal. Obviously, I had a connection. Shout out Lacey, a.k.a. Double Hockey 6. She, basically did all the things. She took control. And the Ducks were totally on board with it. We're allowed to vend and meet people right outside the Ducks team store, right by the front entrance. And, man, we met so many people. I'm out of stickers. I bought, close to 200. They are all gone from this week. So that means over 200 people got stickers with DML logo on them.
Crazy.
It was great to meet so many of you, too, because, so many people, I was like, they're like...
Yeah, we haven't really done a meetup, so this was our first time really getting to meet a lot of people face-to-face, so... And, we don't, before this podcast, we didn't really show our faces. Mm-hmm. Those people listening, you still haven't seen them. Yeah, live streams and maybe some videos we would pop in, but it was just crazy that people, recognized us. Yeah. So that's super cool. But anything else to add? Yeah, we have buttons left over, I think. Maybe that.
We do.
Yeah, maybe we can start giving those out to people at the games. I think that's... That almost wraps it up, but time to get into the Discord questions. Kim, you want to pull them up and take us through those? Again, if you want a chance to ask some questions, jump into the Discord. We'll have the link in the description down below. A lot of the buttons, if you saw any of our social media posts, a lot of those came straight from the Discord, people's creations or just ideas that we had. So, thank everyone in that community. It's a lot of fun. It's also a great way just to stay up to date on the Ducks. That's how I stay up to date on the Ducks pretty much, because there's a bunch of psychos and people even more crazy about the Ducks than me in there, which is saying a lot. And they just information overload at sometimes.
Yeah.
The community has grown too. I forgot, we're at over 250 members now.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Game chats are always super fun, just talking about it. And I'm in there, and a lot of other people that are positive about the Ducks are in there. So we try to eliminate as much doom and gloom as we can because we want to be keeping the positive vibes. So it's a hard battle to fight, but we got to come in there, especially during games when emotions are very high.
We take a breath and we think positively.
That's something that we're trying to do just to, I don't know if there's a lot of online communities that do that. So if you want to have a good time watching the Ducks, then jump into Discord. And without further ado, Kim, how many questions do we have?
Got 3 because we didn't actually ask anyone if they wanted to ask us a question. That's on me and us. I guess you too. It's your fault too.
3 questions. This pod's already been going on for a little bit, so let's get to them.
If the Ducks stay close to the playoff line, do you see the Ducks trading for assets by the deadline since Verbeek failed to sign and add a top 6 forward, but trade instead?
I think it's basically saying, will the Ducks be buyers at the trade deadline? They're in a similar spot to where they were maybe a little bit earlier in the season.
And then there's part 2 of this question. Or wait till the offseason and possibly sell veterans at the deadline for more assets to continue to help to build the future.
Take it away.
We added Trouba, which wasn't a top 6 forward, but we did actually do something. So maybe if we stay the 500 line, I think Verbeek might be feeling the hot seat just a little bit already. It's early in his tenure. I could see him adding on a little bit. Not a lot. It really depends on how the Ducks play is going. And I feel like we need to be at least maybe a couple games over 500 for that to happen, though.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't think he's going to make any moves where he's selling prospects for NHL ready talent right now. But if there's more moves like the Trouba deal, I think he will. He will take those on. Or, in some cases, if as we get closer to the trade deadline, maybe we are selling off some prospects that just we don't really have faith in too much anymore. I could see, honestly, hate to say it, but I could see McTavish kind of being that one. Selling off.
He's too early for that.
Maybe too early still, but
he is our signing this year.
So I'm just saying, yeah, true. But yeah, I don't see any sort of no point selling the farm. I want to build this. We're still building, and I don't want to just make the playoffs, i.e. the Kings. I want to go far in the playoffs.
But yeah,
so I can see it happening if it's kind of a Trouba type of deal again.
For sure, Fowler is going to go. There's no way in my eyes that Fowler is not going to leave this team, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the money issue, but the writing's on the wall with the Trouba trade for me now. So I think he'll definitely be going. So we'll be selling in that regards. I don't think Gibson's going to go. And so I think we are going to be sellers because I also don't think we're going to keep Fabry. Probably not DML. I'd love to be that. And they also added on, I feel like the only reason I'm thinking about adding assets is because he said he wanted to push for the playoffs this year, which he did. And I feel like I've trusted that process and tried signing again in the offseason. Definitely need to look at adding pieces in the offseason to have a better season next year.
Yeah, that's what you tried to do this past season, and just people didn't want to sign here. We offered more term and money for some players, and they decided to go elsewhere. Maybe with a little bit more progress, we'll become a more of a place that people want to play in. So that's what we gotta hope for. But I think just because Verbeek said he wanted to push for the playoffs, I don't think it's going to force that to happen if that's not what's happening. He's also mentioned having this be a slower rebuild to where we can be contenders for a long time. So I think that's really more of the vision than saying he's pushing for playoffs. I think that's just kind of that's a benchmark that he set, and I don't think he hasn't really done that before. So that's kind of good to see in that regard because we can hold him accountable and ask him about what went wrong or what he's going to do to fix it. So
on the next one, we got how do the Ducks compare to this point in the previous season? Well, the Ducks started really strong last season, and then they got really bad and went on the epic losing streak. So I believe we're still doing better than last year at the start. We're winning more games, and I guess the beginning of last season was a lot more fun to watch, maybe, until they started losing a lot. But now we're going to play. We're actually enjoying watching Ducks hockey when Leo and Z are in the lineup. Not recently, to be honest.
Yeah, huge caveat. Yeah.
Because without them in the lineup, it's boring as hell. But overall, we're doing better.
Yeah, I think I would with that. I think last year, the losses, you'd just be kind of so disgusted with the team. And I feel like this year, a lot of the times with the losses, sure, there's things that that one aside. But again, they were playing the Wild, so that's going to be but I feel like sometimes with the losses this year, my takeaway is, I didn't think they played that bad. They were just outmatched.
Minus the first 10 games, yes, I agree with that assessment. First 10 games were rough.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was kind of
still learning the system,
finding their footing, learning the system still in some ways. Because after that initial start, I feel like, I mean, I hate to like say the cliches, but I think we are kind of seeing this team kind of have an identity now.
Lots of characters.
And I think the Trouba hopefully just strengthens that, kind of building the culture is what they talked about wanting to do. And so I'm just hoping the consistency part, that's the big part. Even in the losses, there's been a little bit, maybe there's some things that they're still doing well. Last season, I don't know if I was really seeing that. Definitely improvement over last season.
Well, the last question is about Trouba. What do you think the addition of him brings to the team? We kind of talked about already. He brings the leadership, maybe some more physical aspect, clearing the crease, which is what the Ducks struggle with. But I think he'll be a good addition.
Definitely going to be optimistic about this.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe tomorrow he won't be. Y'all have to wait for the video.
Definitely positive. I think he's going to bring something to this team, and I think he's got something to prove. So I think we're going to see his play get picked up, more determined Trouba. So yeah, I'm super excited to see tomorrow. Hopefully, I don't have egg on my face after that game from this video, but I think that's gonna do it for this one. Kim, anything else to say before we close this out?
Thank you to everyone who met again at Women in Sports Nights. It was lots of fun. I'm feeling confident on the Ducks, as we already mentioned, and I'm in a good mood.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, thank you to our members. Check out our social links below if you're not following already. If you enjoyed the podcast, like, subscribe, follow, leave a review. Yeah, any support is super appreciated. Thanks for everyone for the support so far. I mean, I feel like we've been saying this a lot, but it's just crazy how much this channel, even the podcast, has grown already, and couldn't do it without everyone listening and watching. So thank everyone so much. Kim, been absolutely killing it. Great job, Kim. And yeah, let's close it out together, Kim. Thank you for listening and watching.
And go Ducks!